Hello and welcome to Cornish Walking Trails today, a town walk around Penryn. Our book today opens with this: Penryn's beginnings go back to early times. There is evidence of 2 Iron Age settlements in Penryn. The Doomsday Survey of 1086 records Penryn as a place of importance dating to Saxon times. There's loads of history here which we're going to uncover today. Our walk today is taken from this book, Penryn Heritage Trail.
Penryn is about 3 miles from Falmouth on the south coast of Cornwall. So for our walk today we've parked here. This is the Penryn car park. It's free parking. It's provided by Penryn Town Council.
Good afternoon. We're in Penryn. Penryn is thought to be one of the oldest towns in Cornwall. Predates Falmouth by hundreds and hundreds of years. And the buildings here are really interesting. It's got a fantastic history. So we're going to do a quick town walk, hopefully before it gets dark, and take in some of that history. The book says there's been a number of versions of the name Penryn over the years, including Perrin, Perrin and Permarin. The word can be interpreted as head or top of a slope, end of a point, or on the side of a hill. And one thing you will notice about Penryn, it is definitely built on the side of a hill. So those names are literal. Ah! What have you spotted?
Well, coming out the wall there is a face. It's hard to pick out actually. Now we're going to go and see the site of the former Glasney College on this walk.
Yes.
And the stone coming out of that wall was apparently from that.
Yeah, he's heavily painted over after all these years, isn't he? So from the research that we've done, we know that when they dismantled the Glasney College in the, I think it was under Edward VI.
It's in the 1500s, I think
yeah.
It was, yeah.
Anyway, the bits of it, the like decorative bits, can still be spotted in various buildings throughout Penryn. So you spotted one before we even started our walk.
So we're very close to the start of our walk here, Sarah.
Yes.
Which is actually outside the, is this the town hall where they got the clock tower?
Yes.
I can actually see they're putting the Christmas lights up as well.
Yeah, it's November, isn't it? Pharmacy, and I've just spotted something lovely in the window. There's an old thermometer, Dr. Aitken's clinical thermometers, and we're guessing that's the apothecary's scales. But look at these, the old labels for the bottles once they were dispensed from Hendra 56, is that 56 Market Street, Penryn. History's all around us, isn't it? You've just got to look for it. We're now going down to the back of the current town museum to start the walk. So our instructions are here. We're at this point and it says start outside the museum, walk down the steps on your left to Lower Market Street and cross over the road onto the left hand side of the street. The first plaque is on the wall of the King's Arm Park, one of these.
Okay. That
we're looking out for. That marks the town trail.
Do you know, I love these because if you're doing this with kids, it gives them something. It's like a treasure hunt, isn't it? It gives them something to look for, isn't it?
It's brilliant. Well, I quite enjoy it. I'm not a kid.
I am.
6. Number 6. We won't go back this one.
You found something of interest?
Yeah, so this building, number 8, was built by Edward Code, I'd imagine it's Code, in 1751. But what I like is this little bit down here. There was a young lad who remembers, well, there's an older gentleman who remembers when he was a 14-year-old schoolboy in the 1930s. His head teacher, Mr. Clymer, secured him a job as a part-time delivery boy at Trojan's. So that's what this was. It was actually a bakery called Trojan's at that point. He would arrive at 8 o'clock in the morning to clean the brass outside the shop and go off to school. At midday, he made his first delivery of bread and returned again at 4 o'clock for his second delivery round, using a hand cart to transport the orders. All this fitted around his school day and earned him 5 shillings a week. So there's the old Trojan Bakery. You can see the round finials above the shop front on each side with 3 windows above. I think that's the right one, don't you?
Oh, it's very similar, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, you can make that out. That would have been a shock.
Yes. Oh, it's identical, isn't it? First plaque is on the wall of the King's Arms pub. Have you found it?
No, I was just reading on the side here. It talks about the King's Arms. It says the King's Arms has been established for over 200 years. It was originally the old coaching house for journeys to Exeter and London. And at the rear of the property can still be found traces of the old stables. They've been turned into accommodation. It says in those days the town of Penryn was quite notorious and was the meeting place of many sea captains who not only carried out their normal trading activities but also piracy in the English Channel from the port of Penryn. In itself has not had any dramatic changes for over 200 years and the facade has remained the same even to this day.
That's really interesting.
Just found the plaque as well.
Oh!
Is that there?
Oh! I've been looking for that. I was looking for that. Oh yeah.
This book tells us all about the King's Arms.
It does.
It does. And it says high spirits in the bar. The King's Arms is said to be haunted. There have been reports of sounds of rushing water, doors rattling, clothes pulled out of drawers and scattered on the floor, and a ghostly tapping on the landlord's shoulder. It says during recent renovation, builders have felt a presence on one of the landings.
Whoa.
So I just spoke to Nate, who's the current owner, and he said that the previous owner told him it was haunted. He said there are some odd goings-ons, which he can't account for, but he's not been tapped on the shoulder as yet.
What else did he tell you?
He told us that the last hanging in Penryn took place in what is now the car park at the rear of the pub.
Wow.
So he's offered us to go through and have a little look. I don't know any more detail about it, and he doesn't either, and it's not in this little book from what I can see, but we'll go home and do a little bit of research, and if we can find some more we'll add some to the video. Brilliant.
We need to find out who it was and what they did.
Yeah.
I bet it's in that book at home.
He's also told us the pub's haunted as well.
Oh.
It's the building opposite the pub, Sarah.
Yes.
It's the old fire
station.
Old fire station, yeah.
And there is one really lovely account here that when the fire alarm sounded, someone had to run to a field on the outskirts of town to catch the horse that would be hitched to the wagon before the engine could be used.
Really?
Imagine this bloke, come here, we got a fire.
You can tell that's the old fire station, can't you?
It's got the coat of arms.
Oh, it has, isn't it? So it says September 1899.
Always ready.
Always ready,
Except
yeah.
when they couldn't catch the horse.
Yeah, and they were nearly ready.
Get there directly.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of money spent in the 70s to restore and preserve the old buildings here. They'd got a bit dilapidated, but they recognised at the time that they were quite special because there were so many Georgian houses. And they've got some lovely features. Look at this. Would have been the old bell.
Oh, it would, wouldn't it? It's still here. Fantastic. Should we give it a tug?
Alright. Okay. We haven't got very far.
So you know I'm into knockers. This is my favourite today. Look at this.
Ah.
It's a lady's hand, isn't it?
You haven't got a ring. No, don't tap it. They'll come to the door.
It's got a ring on it.
Come on, you.
It's the original ring on a door knocker.
Oh, the ring on the door. I get it.
Ring on the door knocker.
Very clever. Ring the doorbell. This shorter, more cottage-like building with the old shop front is number 22. And in our book it tells us that number 22 belonged to a William Trigoning, who was a florist, and he became nationally and internationally recognised as an authority on chrysanthemums. At the age of 81 he turned his attention to strawberries. A newspaper of the time reported that he had managed to grow specimens weighing up to 1/4 pound. Have you seen the size of those strawberries?
God, they're beauties, aren't they? Make a good cream tea with that.
So that was a florist.
Oh, really?
Yes.
And you can tell it's an old shop, can't you?
Indeed. So we've retraced our steps because Andrew found this quite fascinating. This house has a fire insurance plaque, probably 18th century. So we've come to number 16 to 18.
We have, and this is one of these types of properties where you have this central alleyway.
It looks like a front door to all intents and purposes.
It does, doesn't it? And there is a door on it.
Yes.
It's obviously open at the moment.
And you can see that it's actually more than one property.
16 here.
Yeah.
18 there.
Where's the plaque? Where's the plaque?
I think I've just seen it. It's up there, just underneath the eaves. It's quite small.
Oh wow.
Can you see it?
I think I can.
Right, I've got a theory over this fire insurance plaque. So it's from the 18th century. So I suppose you could have had it all written down on parchment, but then if you kept that in your house and your house burnt down, you'd lose it all, wouldn't you?
Oh, you smarty.
Right?
Yeah.
So if they actually put it as a stone on the front of the house, if there was a fire and everything burnt down, the stone would still be there.
Do you think that's what the numbers are? Your policy number?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a telephone
Brilliant.
number.
Isn't that a fantastic property? Trafalgar House. Complete with complimentary seagull on chimney pot.
That's at the old library behind you.
Yes, it was built in the 17th century and it was refronted in the early 19th century.
Gosh, that's really old then,
Note
isn't
the
it?
18th century door with the original box lock. A number of important occupants lived here, including the former mayor, Sampson Bloys, who's probably, he's probably the grandson of the former mayor. Wow. So we're here at the square, and it says these handsome houses are largely Queen Anne and Georgian and originally stretched around three sides of the square, built and owned by the noted families of the time. They are the most prestigious houses in the town. The house facing the street is the earlier of the two. Its western half, number 5, was built around 1677 and was extended by John Hurl in 1739 to become the house it is today, known as Hurl's Great House. There's actually 3 in that terrace.
They are incredible, aren't they?
Beautiful.
Look at the features on them. I love around the doors there, all the panelling. Okay.
You've just thought the same thing, haven't you?
Yeah, that's missing, isn't it?
That's gone. So
that
that's
would
the
have
end of the building, and there would have been another bit going down there. And that's the bit that was bombed in 1941 in the Second World War.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So it all got demolished?
Yes, there's a commemorative gardens in there now, and the bowling club with a brilliant view. What other bowling club in the country can you tell me has such a good view? Looking at that photograph in this book, dates before the right-hand side was demolished by a bomb in 1941. But look at the trees. I wonder, are they the same trees? And the second one, Penryn Heritage Trail number 2.
You read this in here, Sarah. It talks about pirates.
Oh, wow.
Shall I read it to you?
Yeah.
Okay. Pirates have played their part in Penryn's history. As well as pirates operating out of these shores, various marauding pirates would arrive here from foreign parts, particularly bands from Spain and Saracens from North Africa. One night, around 1566, so the account goes, some travelling players were performing in Penryn. Most of the town had turned out for the evening's entertainment. During this time, some Spaniards landed with intent to pillage and burn the town. As they progressed towards the town, wondering why they had not been challenged, they heard a mighty roar and much shouting and banging of drums. Believing that they had been discovered and a mighty attack had been launched on them, they turned and fled. In fact, it was a battle being reenacted on the stage. Yeah, do you think those marauding pirates, Sarah, thought they were in Penzance?
Yeah, Pirates of Penzance.
Yeah, Pirates of Penryn.
Yeah.
Arr.
So we're now going down Bow Hill, and this was considered the poorer part of Penryn, and it leads us on then to Glasney College.
So we're looking for number 44 Bow Hill,
Yes.
according to the book. A couple of things. First of all, the town or the Heritage Trail plaque is on that property.
Next to the door you can see it.
But it also says, as you reach the bottom of Bow Hill, look for the ram's head built into the front of number 44. This medieval carving is almost certainly from Glasney College. It has also been suggested that there was once a theatre here.
So Andrew, the old village pump is
Yeah.
down around this area somewhere.
I haven't seen it yet. We've just crossed over a little bridge though, so there's a stream, a little river there, isn't there?
So you think the well would be associated with that? Up there, is it?
Okay.
Spotted it?
I think it's up here.
Okay. The town pump. Goodness me.
Obviously still works because there's water in there, like that's our dog is now demonstrating. Yeah, that's not working, is it?
No. It's rainwater in it, boy. You ain't too sure. Helston.
Helston, yeah.
Pretty the manufacturer's mark, isn't it? Williams and Sons.
Could be, couldn't it?
Oh, well, there you go. That's a village pump. Town pump.
Yeah.
It's still here. And we
Well,
proved
well.
it doesn't work.
I've just worked out who would have lived on Bow Hill.
Bo Peep?
Yeah. Yeah, and she probably lived in number 44 because all she had to do was look out the window.
What?
But then she could see her sheep.
Why number 44?
It's the one with the sheep's head on it.
Oh, I'm with you. We're in St Thomas's Street. Number 38 is an early 19th century townhouse with its doorway of the same period. Above the door, in the window recess, is a carved frieze of Thomas the Becket, and it dates from about 1950.
Oh, so it's quite new then.
Yeah.
Okay. And what's the significance of Thomas Becket then?
So St Thomas's Street, named after Thomas the Becket.
Ah.
Now, it's once the main route from Falmouth to Penryn and onward to Truro. Can you imagine carriages clattering up and down here?
So, do you fancy playing a game, Sarah?
Yeah.
Do you think all the people at home would like to play a game as well?
Yeah.
Okay, so the building behind you then, which is number 28, it's got Pickett's Yard, I think, above the doorway there.
Yes.
Have a look at the building and tell me what's wrong with it. You can play along at home as well. Have a look at the building. Do you notice anything strange with it?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Hang on. Let's just wait for the people at home who are just busy finishing off their donuts.
Is it to
Bits
do
of
with
cake.
windows?
It's to do with windows. Okay, I just need to point out for the people playing along at home, there are no prizes with this. Alright, I'm really tight.
No pasties
No
by
pasties,
post.
no. If there were prizes and they were pasties, I would eat them before I sent them to you, so you'd get a bag.
Yeah,
Do you want to explain it for people at home?
it's fake.
It's fake, isn't it? Top left window.
Yeah.
It's more obvious, I think, with our eyes rather than filming.
So you look at this house, ordinary house, and then Pickett's Yard is another example of one of these opes where in behind you've actually got more houses, and this building would have been split into more than one house. Hence you've got one door there, you've got the ope, and you've got another door there. Really fascinates me. I think we go down here. Yes. Penryn seems to be full of these little opes or back streets, not wide enough for a car. Oh, look, Andrew's just pointing at this. I wonder if that's from Glasney College.
It looks a bit newer though, doesn't it?
It's at the back of a normal cottage. Well, you never know. here, nothing of the main structure of Glasney College exists today. But what makes it quite interesting is they did an archaeological dig and they found the footprint. So they've laid it out and the area is now a playing field. It says here that Glasney College was one of the major ecclesiastical centres in medieval Cornwall. Although only a single section of stonework survives above ground, there are significant archaeological remains below the level of the field. And so what they've tried to do is to designate those with pathway or stones. And you can kind of find the outline of the building as they thought it stood here. So what was Glasney College? It was a centre of learning, it was ecclesiastical learning. First founded in 1265, and it was a vision of the then Bishop Bronescombe of Exeter. He had a dream in which Thomas Becket told him to look for a place known locally as Polsetho, pit or mire. So that explains the St Thomas the Becket street and plaque where we were a moment ago. It all links together, doesn't it? If you do enough research you find it all out, don't you? And so a collegiate church existed here between 1265 and 1548, 2/3 the size of Exeter Cathedral, and it had a central tower and a spire together with a cloister, chapter house, refectory and separate infirmary. It is probable that at least 50 people lived in its outer walls, including servants.
So this is quite clever, isn't it?
Yes.
They've actually laid out on the floor in large stones where the walls would have been.
Don't you just wish you had a drone?
Yeah, I know. Or a very tall ladder.
So the big bit in the middle is the tower.
Right.
And that is the only remaining above ground feature of the college.
Oh really? So they've actually got something that was here, what, from the... When did this get demolished then? 16th century, isn't it?
Yes. So it must have been a window or a doorway.
Oh, it is, isn't it? Gosh, there we go. Yes, you can just about make that out, can you?
Ghostly figures in the grounds. Not surprisingly, there are ghosts associated with this site. Not so long ago, there was an old gentleman living in Penryn who recalled as a young man he and two friends walked to work at Falmouth Docks early each morning. All three of them frequently saw ghostly monk-like figures who appeared to be hurrying towards the area where Glasney College would have stood. He remembers that it was such a regular occurrence that they used to joke about it. It's starting to get dark and cold. We've got a couple more things to show you, two really interesting things. Firstly, it's a story picking up the pirates, and the second one is to take you down one of those extraordinary like oaks. A story of pirates at number 30 St Thomas Street, and it says here the next house with a bow window, Queen Anne Cottage, is where Lady Jane Killigrew is said to have lived in 1613, sheltered by the people of Penryn for 20 years. There'd long been a rivalry between the people of Penryn and Falmouth. This may stem from the decision of John Killigrew to move to Arwennick House in Falmouth. Such a betrayal of loyalty to Penryn was not easily forgotten or forgiven. When his wife Jane had an affair with the captain of the garrison at Pendennis Castle, he sued for divorce and she took refuge in Penryn. There's also a tradition that she became involved with piracy, for which she was tried and condemned.
Gosh. And she, what, lived in number 30?
Indeed, number 30.
Okay.
And Penryn welcomed her to the town after her escape, where she lived under the protection of the borough and the corporation. When she finally left Penryn, she gave them a loving cup, which is actually in the museum. And it's used in the mayoral ceremonies today.
Bush in a bin.
Bush in a bin, indeed. It's a bush in a bin. Oh, so pretty. So back here.
Yeah, I remember we've done a big circle, haven't we?
Yeah. So it says further up the road, on your left, you'll see the next plaque at the entrance to Eastons Yard. So this is an example of these little opes and yards where you just have an ordinary little gap and there's lots of properties behind.
Can I have a peek?
Yeah. Apparently some of these properties contain parts of what I think is Glasney College. There you go. Just opens up. Oh, there's one. That window is meant to be a doorway from Glasney College. And the mullion above the door. This is just lots of properties.
It is, isn't it?
Isn't it just so quiet away from that
You'd
fast
never know this
road?
was here, would you?
No. And apparently a lot of doorways look like front doors and open up like this.
Yeah.
A quirk of Penryn.
I think these were all thatched originally.
Ah, good question. Potentially. So there's a blue one in the corner that's cheek by jowl with that one, with the brickwork. And then there's another door. And another door. There's just houses all the way through this little ope. Does this remind you of Port Isaac and Squeezy Belly Alley?
It does, doesn't it? Very old, aren't they? Just very old. And it's amazing they're still here like this.
Yeah, relatively undeveloped.
Yeah, so much history.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
it's brilliant. I really enjoyed this walk so far. We're now at our final destination. And finally, jailbreak. The Barrett Jail was once located on the ground floor at the clock tower end of Town Hall. It originally consisted of 2 rooms, and by 1834 it was described as having no adequate air or light and unsuitable for human occupation. During the 17th century, the security of the prison was a constant problem. The locks were often replaced, and it is recorded that prisoners were able to break out. Just finishing up, aren't we?
Yeah.
So are we. Our walk today is taken from this book, Penryn Heritage Trail. A quick look at the map. We start here at the bottom of the town museum and come down Broad Street all the way till we can see the sea, come down Bow Hill and explore down by the 3 Barrels with views down to the river. We start to come up St Thomas Street and take a left down to Glasney College, back up St Thomas Street, and then we come back up towards the museum. Today's walk around Penryn, so much history.
Yeah, it's a short walk, but I've really enjoyed it.
Packed so much in today, from where somebody, the last hanging.
Yeah,
Wow.
they might have made that up in fairness because it's not in the book. Let's see if we can find any information out about it.
But talking about the book, there's loads in there. The map is brilliant, the instructions work, and the history is it's bursting at the seams.
Yeah, there's a lot of social history in that book, and that's sort of history, it's so easy to lose.
So what would you score that then?
Oh, it's a 10 out of 10 for me. It's a shortish walk, but it's really good fun.
Brilliant. If you've enjoyed today's walk, please subscribe. It's free on YouTube.
Yeah, maybe leave a like or send us a comment. We'd love to get in your comments. Also, if you want to find out where we've been and a bit more information about the channel updates, that type of thing, find us on Instagram and Facebook as well. Search Cornish Walking Trails.
So for now, bye bye. See you next time.